Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for hopping on today. My prayer is that the Lord will truly minister to you through this word. Amen. Welcome. Hello to Mike. Stephanie, hello. How are you today? Gracie, Miss Howard, thank you so much for joining me. Janae, thank you. It was great seeing you this weekend. Anthony Goodwin, welcome, sir. Maya, welcome. Uh-oh, I done turned the thing around. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. All right, let's get into this. I got a real quick though. I just want to share something. I have a track. The track that's playing behind me is from our very own Tylen Rose. He creates beats, and he had contacted me this morning and said, "Pastor, if you want to, you can use one of my beats as you introduce Noontime Nugget." I said, "Well, absolutely." So this one is called "Tell You Something" by Tylen Rose, who is the producer of this beat. I appreciate you, Tylen, for allowing me to use this. All right, today I want to just share with you. The Lord really put on my heart something, just kind of hit me this morning, and I believe that it may minister to all of us, or maybe just one of us. I don't know. And you know how God is. God said, "I'll leave the 99 just to reach the one." So it may just be for one person, or it may be for multiple people. But I want to talk with you today, and we've talked about this previously here and there, from the topic of rejection. From the topic of rejection. Before I talk about what rejection is, I think it's interesting to start off talking about what the opposite of rejection is. The opposite of rejection is acceptance. It's acceptance. It's being accepted by, whether it's the Lord, but being accepted by someone, being accepted by some people, being accepted by a group. The opposite of rejection is acceptance. But the actual feeling of rejection comes from feeling unwanted, feeling unappreciated, feeling excluded, the feeling of not belonging. It also could be a feeling of worthlessness, the feeling of being on the outside looking in. And so the best way to face a problem, is simply to recognize it. We want to recognize if we're dealing with a spirit of rejection, because a spirit of rejection not only stops us from doing things, but a spirit of rejection also allows, I shouldn't say allows us. The spirit of rejection also, it deceives us into accepting things that we should not accept. So a couple of things. Number one, the spirit of rejection can literally paralyze you or paralyze, us from doing what we're supposed to do. But also the spirit of rejection may cause us to allow things into our life that really is not good for us, simply because, let me go back to the opposite of rejection, simply to be accepted. So I want to ask you this morning, y'all pardon my dog in the background. I want to ask you this afternoon, are you allowing things into your life? Are you allowing ways of people treat you? Abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, lack of respect, lack of love. The only reason that we allow that into our lives, and we continuously allow this into our lives in relationships, it could be because of a spirit of rejection. right? And then again, I'm reiterating, and I know I'm repeating. Again, there may be things that you are supposed to do. There may be relationships that you should pursue. There may be things that God has called you to do that we kind of step back and we say, no, I'm not going to go after that because, and we come up with reasons why. But the very root of it could be a spirit of rejection. Now, I want to read to you 3 verses out of the book of Isaiah, chapter 54. 3 verses, Isaiah 54, 4, 5, and 6. And I want to highlight some words as we get to the end. The verse 6 talks about the rejection, but I want to highlight some words as I'm reading in verses 4 and 5 regarding where the rejection comes from and what it causes, okay? Verse 4 says this, fear not. Now again, if we're talking about the fruit of something and we're talking about the root of something, fear very well could be the very root of what someone's dealing with. But sometimes fear can be a fruit of something like rejection. So fear, remember what we're doing today is we want to recognize if it's there or not. Fear, do you find yourself fearful of confrontation? Do you find yourself, and confrontation doesn't always have to be a negative thing. I'm not saying that in a confronting and is negative and you just got to go after somebody and beat them down. No, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about speaking up for yourself. We're talking about being able to respond, not react. If you remember that several weeks ago, being able to respond and not feeling like, well, I can't respond because if I respond, then they're going to feel a certain way and then they're going to not want to talk to me, or they're going to leave me, or those types of things that may stem from a spirit of rejection. Fear, number 1, fear not, for you will not be put to shame. Here's another word, shame, dealing with shame, dealing with the feeling of I'm not worthy because of something. I'm not worthy because, and many times again, the becauses of I'm not worthy are not even justified, right? They're not even justified as to why you should feel unworthy. And many times that unworthiness is coming from where? It's coming from a spirit of rejection, that shame. So fear not, for you will not be put to shame, and do not feel humiliated. That's another word, for you will not be disgraced. Fear, shame, humiliation, disgrace. That fear, that anxiety of not wanting to be who I'm supposed to be. Think about this, y'all. Think about this today. Not really being who you are supposed to be. Not really being, I got to say it again because that really ministers to me. Not really being who you're supposed to be. Why? Because of a fear of how people will receive that or will receive you, because of the fear of the humiliation if someone does not accept you for who God created you to be. Think about how you have been who you have been for so long. And then here comes the Spirit of God. Here comes God himself. Here comes Jesus, the Spirit of Jesus, coming into you and says, now I'm going to transform you into a new person. Well, here's what that spirit of rejection will do, or that spirit of fear will do. Yeah, but what I don't want to do, if I've heard the terminology act brand new. If I become brand new, then who will no longer want to deal with me? Who will no longer accept me if I'm becoming who I'm supposed to be? Don't allow the fear of rejection, the spirit of rejection, the spirit of fear, which all comes from darkness, which all comes from the enemy. Don't allow that to stop you from growing into who you're supposed to be. Because when you grow, you know what you're going to do? You're going to think differently. And because you're growing, you're going to not only think differently, you're going to respond verbally differently to how people are saying things or doing things. And it comes with the territory of the fact that some people will not accept you for who you are becoming. They may not like the new you, but will you stop yourself from growing into the new you because of what other people think? That in its root is the spirit of rejection. It's a sabotage. I'm sabotaging myself because I still have that need to be accepted by people. And you know what? When you become who you're supposed to become, there's going to be a group of people who love who you're becoming, and they're going to grow with you and accept you. And then there may be one or two that simply say, I don't like who you're becoming. And see, when we think about that, we think about negativity, a bad, you're becoming. No, we're talking about becoming the God you, the you that God created you to be. So that spirit of rejection. So it says this, but you will forget, let me keep reading, but you will forget the shame of your youth, right? Forget the rejection of your youth, right? We've got to, that's something that we have to be healed of. It's something that we have to be healed of. And depending upon, usually, if it's coming from our youth, I'm imploring you, I've said it over and over, you may have to get some additional help. This may not be something you can handle on your own, right? So we want to overcome that shame, that humiliation of being rejected as youth. Because many times, where does the enemy start? We talk about this all the time. He starts working on us as children. Little you. Think about this. I want you to picture this. And I don't know if I've ever used this example before. But behind the desire to prevent the growth, the growth of who you're supposed to be, there's a little boy, if you're a man, or a little girl, if you're a woman, inside of you that's saying, I'm afraid to become who I'm supposed to become. Because many times our growth has been stunted. And when I say growth, obviously I'm not talking about our physical growth because we grew up. I'm talking about our emotional growth, our spiritual growth as well, that is stunted because of the rejection that we dealt with. And who are the two areas of rejection that hurt us the most? And I'm gonna do a countdown from 2 to 1. Number 2 is a spouse. Number 2, rejection from your spouse. All right. Well, husband, wife being rejected, not feeling loved, not feeling appreciated, not feeling, and I say feeling in a very positive term, not feeling loved, not feeling appreciated, not feeling accepted, not feeling valued by your husband or by your wife. That can bring about major rejection. And that comes usually, obviously, when we're older, because we get married when we're older, right? But let me take you back to when you were a child. The number one way that we are rejected, the source of rejection, let me call it that. That source of rejection could have been a parent. It could have been a mother, a father, or a guardian, who you may grow up with, grandparents, whomever it was, whoever you grew up with, a guardian, mother, or father. And you felt that, let me go back all the way to the beginning. And this is sometimes things that as people, we don't know because we were in the womb, but rejection can start in the womb. Now, we are being formed, but rejection can start simply by a mother not really wanting that child at the time. And I stress that at the time because they may have been afraid. They may have been young. They may have been on their own. They may have lost, not had the support from the man that was a part of the conception. So that mother was afraid and did not want that child. Why? Because of different reasons. And in the womb, studies are saying that we sense this as humans. We sense this. So the first way that rejection may have started may have been in the womb. Now, this is not to blame mom, because again, they may have been in circumstances that was just scary to them, and they were like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I'm not even ready for this. It's not to blame mom. It's just, it could be a fact. All right. Then we move on to, as we're growing and through being a toddler and growing up, then it might have been a child that has not received the expression of love. Now, this may be something totally different from in the womb, just not feeling the expression of love from a mother or a father. Father might not have been in their life, or may have been in their life and not really engaged. Mother may not have been engaged, may not have had the love or expressed the love, let me say it that way, express the love that they should have expressed, hugs and kisses and just words of affirmation to make you feel loved, right? And then the third aspect of rejection, we're just recognizing it today. I believe we'll move more into this tomorrow. The third aspect of rejection is there may be more than one child, and there may have been the feeling that the other child or some other siblings were getting more, a greater measure of love, a greater measure of attention than you did. And so you might have felt like, hey, why is it that my sister or my brother or a brother and a sister or older brother, younger brother, different places in what's that called? In the birth order. They seem to get more love from dad or from mom, or they seem to get more compliments from dad or from mom, or dad or mom seems to talk about them to other people in a very, very good way more than they do me. See, these are different ways that a spirit of rejection can begin to form, starting with the thought process, or starting in the womb, but starting in the thought process, and then all of a sudden it grows into a stronghold, and then that thing begins to branch out. And what does it do? It affects us in other relationships now. Now we're allowing people to misuse us or abuse us. I'm going to the extremes, or we're allowing people just to treat us any way that they treat us, and we just hang in there because we're afraid to basically to say, no, I'm not, I just cannot put up with being treated this way. And there's nothing wrong with saying things like that because you value yourself. I expect to be treated with love, and nobody's perfect, and I'm not on here trying to making you think that okay, your spouse or your friends are going to be perfect. No, I'm not talking about perfection. You know that, but being able to address that, hey, I don't like being treated that way. That shows some emotional healing and health. So again, the spirit of rejection can cause us to deal with and put up with a lot of things. It can cause us to shy away from other things. And it's just something that the Lord had put on my heart today, y'all. I don't know who this is for, and I'm praying that I'm not missing it. I'm not missing it totally. But I just wanted to share this, and probably we'll talk more about this tomorrow, because there may be some healing that may need to take place that can start right here. And I know we've talked about rejection before, but that it may start right here. It may continue to grow into some other help. Remember, we do have our pastoral counseling department now at the church. So we did talk about that. Pastoral counseling department at the church, and/or some other aspects. But I don't know why this topic. Well, I do know why. This topic of rejection is cyclical. It keeps coming up. The Lord keeps showing me this because apparently there's some people that He wants to set free, that He truly wants you to be free so that you can be who you're supposed to be and then ultimately fulfill what you're supposed to fulfill, that you can be a blessing to your children, a greater blessing to your children and your spouse. All right. So I pray that it helps somebody. All right. I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow at noon, same time, same channel. God bless you. Bye-bye.